have a little bit of a late game resurgence. What more can you do with these two players remaining? They've managed to do quite a lot of work, and now it's just Xing left, and he's thinking, guys, that's two players, and they're from GK. Like, how has this happened to you? How far have we fallen? They've already got 114 points now on the tally. It wants a little bit more, but they're still feeling very, very safe. They just need to get maybe like a point a game. Let's see what they can find. Ah, there we go. There's a knock over towards NZ, even in the score. Meanwhile, over on the north edge, teams are starting to fall lower and lower on these player counts. You can see a lot of empty bars there. Not too many teams fully wiped out, but with 12 teams remaining, there's an average of just over 2 players per team, which is quite a significant metric. It's now exactly 2 players. No, hang on a minute. That was a team that went down. Ugh. The maths keeps getting harder, by the way. Not a lot of players per team.
DRX make their way into the top 7 with that. To 62 points now on the game, but are able to handle EK. They take a lot of casualties for it. VP similarly also on the chase here, down towards the south side of the map, as the final player from DX Xavier finally makes his way back into the moment. But Kara is just taking names left, right, and center.
I mean, you say that, but now it's just down to Pusher. ToNiK on a sliver of HP, stays alive in the smoke. On the off angle, the Ulf player could be big here against Poser. Has to fall back, look for these reses. On the top side as well, you've got Mad Bulls to worry about. The player there, Tulika, could take a crack at it. CEO has to hold for the rest of his team. I think he knows that Tulika's there. That'll keep them safe, but ToNiK's on the hunt. He's moving in with a bumpy. Need an assist from the top rope, but CEO has to hit the deck. That's going to give the game away on the push, however, and Kara can hold firm. ToNiK falls and Kara stay alive. They're up to 12 elims with a possibility of a full reset.
This is insane work from Kara today. Again, that's very well played from CEO as well. I think a lot more players would have full committed to that spray, but all he knows he needs to do is just delay for a little bit longer for the rest of his team to pull out. Because as soon as those shots go towards his end of things, he can immediately back off. The team can do the rest of the work. So there's good trust in the rest of his team as well. And Marso's finding a hell of a shot across range over towards Milky Way there. Goodness me. That is the outpost they sent on the western side of the road. So very unlikely that VP gets that player back up again.
Might go on a mad dash, but oh, they are. Okay, hang on a minute. I thought it was unlikely, but they desperately want to keep their players in check. CEO still seemingly having sightlines there. Ketch now the last solo player on that north side, the remnants of that hilltop struggle. Higgles as well was able to get out of there earlier for the Wolves and surviving as a solo. A real tough time on this northern edge. And Regnum Kaya, I mean, they haven't got too many elims for it though, Blank. Which means that even though they've got this far, 6th place, that's not enough of a reward. They want more.
Yeah, they basically need to get first place from this position, and it is a first place position too. Nade over the top, quick bubble, underarm, easy peasy. 13 elims added to the tally now for Kara. A hard push ahead of them over towards Regnum Kaya though, but Marso doesn't seem to think so, as he immediately sends shots down range over towards Regnum, keeping them at bay for the time being, carrying them off this spot.
Virtus Pro did get that res. They were allowed to get Milky Way back up, but they're leaving him out there for the time being anyway. Must have an exit strategy somehow. Boston moves up to the hills as well, gets a little bit more of a foothold in that direction. I'm wondering what DRX are going to have to say about that, because they're going to have to run out, and they may be able to spot.
Shots over towards VP. You have to make this rotate now, and I think it was a little bit dangerous for them to actually try and get Milky Way back up again, as the circle was going to enclose. But I think they just about get a player back into position, but Voston immediately taken down. Milky Way flushed by Silas, and Kara's just sending it, dude.
All right, 2 players straight across the field. Lewis leaves his teammate out in the open, will go down himself. Kara, they're not going to do too well on that rotate. Player from Virtus Pro did go down in the process. Voston has been knocked, but yeah, I don't think Kara are going to get too much value from this one. They've already extracted a lot of points from this lobby. However, they are stepping pretty close to being in contest with Thundertalk, which is really saying something.
Yeah, it's some real lobby annihilation coming through from Kara at the moment, leaving Poser and CEO alive. And again, I really did respect the rollout there. It's a very hard one to pull off, but if they're able to take down the 2 players, I think they pretty sure are inside of that shack. And then they take a formidable location that can maybe challenge up against Regnum Kaya. So it's a risk that realistically they have to take here if they want to go for the chicken dinner, which is, I like that. The fact that they're thinking towards the chicken dinner is amazing. That nade is disgustingly consistently on target from Zedwolf. And now there were 3.
Kara, 7 nades in pocket. 2 players up the top. Virtus.pro have 7. Regnum Kai have a lot of smokes, but maybe a little bit thinner on the nades. They've only got a couple of players to handle. 4 players total. CEO spotted. Challenges on the spray down. Needs to be bold with it. And CEO sticks the landing on that. Unfortunately, there's the trade, and there's the nade from the off angles. Only 1 for the price of 2. And Zedwolf may be resable even still by Loxy and maintain this rooftop position against Virtus.pro, who've been holding on the outside here. Regnum Kaya up to 8 elims. It has been a good game for them, and they desperately needed it.
Yeah, they got a ton of smokes as well, but not too many nades to make this work. But realistically, playing in the shack, Regnum Kaya they can wait until zone 9. They just want to wait until this one really pulls Virtus.pro out of this shack, and then they can just play off the back of there with the smokes included. So this should be a Regnum Kaya win. They got a couple of eliminations off the back of it, and it does put them back in contest for top 7 after this one. They will need to have another strong game before probably match 4 or 5 tomorrow, but it sets themselves up nicely, right? I don't think any team has really played very, I mean, other than Alpha Gaming, let's say, and Geek, but I think most teams still have a good chance of getting into top 7 tomorrow with some pretty astonishing plays.
Yeah, it is still an open door for quite a few teams. Regnum Kaya maybe just about squeaking in by the skin of their teeth here, but Virtus.pro, they're close to the bubble too. They have been chasing for a while. We were talking about how they didn't really find their way through into these later stages. Those mid games were a real struggle for them, but they managed to get all 4 players in. This hold has been difficult. Malloy going down is going to make this close down nigh on impossible for Virtus.pro. It is a 1v4 now for Aragon, unless he spends the time to get Malloy back up. But those nades now starting to run dry. Zedwolf breaking out wide. They got all the angles they could possibly wish for, and it is going to be a swift little peek out there from Wild in the ghillie suit. The desert camo working wonders, and Regnum Kaya closed down a 10 elimination chicken dinner, 20 points on the match. A great way to move towards the end of day 2 here of the Gauntlet.
A tidy sweep at the end there for Regnum Kaya. Set themselves up nicely. It was the winning position for a long while, and they definitely played it well. Again, it's very similar to DRX, where, you know, it's not the crazy win. They took a strong position, but the rotates to get there were fairly good, and they didn't flex out too much, understanding there was probably like 1,800 teams over on the north side of them playing on the cliff face. But I do think, again, big props to Kara. The way they played that hillside again, very, very good opportunistic gameplay.
Up grabbing the win. I do think maybe VP were going to try and do some
squad like APG. So I don't know. I think that if the Maxman reverse curse technique is going to work, might as well. Let's go for it.
I kind of hope it works. Part of me is like, I hope I can use my powers for good. But
That's right.
I don't know. I can't quite control, unfortunately. All I know is that I can't curse Indian tournaments because Marzi's the one that has all the power over there. But Niptro, looking back at these rotational maps that are coming out for some of these teams, Virtus.pro hugging that western cliffside the entire time, clearly trying to set up a big high ground position. Unfortunately, the circle does shift away eventually, but Virtus.pro were calm, but yet super methodical in how they were approaching every single one of these circle shifts.
Yeah, I really like how they played this. They hugged the west side, as you said, but then they move over to this compound. They try and do a 2-2 split. Later on, you're about to see that now they're actually going to try and move out, spread out across the west side of zone as well, just trying to control as much of that zone as possible. And that's what I'm looking for in a team. For me, if a team is going to do well in finals, they have to have that zone control capability. And VP's that zone being just what it was out in the fields made it very, very difficult.
Man, look at these leaderboards. So Regnum Kaya get 20 points. Nuts today. I mean, they had 27 points, right? Before the day started. What is this? 3 games in a row with double, or 3 games total, right? So far with double-digit points. These guys are just going nuts, Niptura.
They really are. I expected to see out of APG. Regnum Kaya as well. This was slightly handed to them, but they made the most of it in the next couple of games. Regnum need to do the same, especially as the points are just getting further and further away looking at these leaderboard, Max.
Yeah, Kara, you talked about it here, Hot Chooks. Maybe Kara looking to play catch-up with Thunder.